Brad Holmes speaks to 97 Won the Ticket and talking about the rebuild and how they're ahead of schedule. I'm also going to talk about how they're ready to compete and make a run. And I think this all comes together, and this franchise is in a really good spot. That's what this video is all about. I concur with what he said. I concur with being ahead, and I do believe the Lions are a team that are going to do their best to finally break the playoff winning drought. Let's go. Isn't it absolutely awesome that we finally get to see some Honolulu blue and silver on the field? Preseason's Friday. We're going to be doing the post-game show on here. Not sure exactly when it ends, but as soon as it ends, maybe about 15 minutes afterwards, jump on Lions Nation Unite, and we'll be talking about the winners and losers and what occurred on the field for our Detroit Lions versus the Giants. Super excited to finally watch the game. So make sure you hit that notification bell and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that content. Great content that's going to be posted on here. Brad Holmes went on 97 Won the Ticket, and he talked about how he believes that the rebuild is ahead of schedule. I believe we're right on track. You can make an argument that we're a little ahead of schedule. We are able to hit on a lot of guys, and that we're able to provide immediate production and play time with some young guys, some rookies. And continues on here. Now, look, you know that Penei Sewell and Aidan Hutchinson are going to come in and kind of expect those guys to produce immediately. But when you start getting production from Malcolm Rodriguez and James Houston, those guys, Holmes continued, then you get guys who are making these jumps, second-year, third-year jumps, even a guy like James Mitchell who kind of get his feet wet last year, coming off an injury, and anticipate him playing a big role this year. So far, so good in the rookies that are here now. They've been adjusted pretty nicely, and some guys are coming along quicker than we thought. And that is the reason why the rebuild is ahead of schedule. I had the Lions winning last year 7 to 8 games. They won 9. They beat my expectations. And the reason they're playing well is these young players that are contributing and learning quick. Last year's defense, I think it was the youngest defense in 26 years in the NFL. And the players like Kirby Joseph really started to learn and get into his own game and doing a good thing. And when you have a player like him that is learning this quickly and making an impact, obviously it's going to help your team out. Other young players, Aidan Hutchinson, immediate impact for the Detroit Lions. Joshua Pascal getting his feet wet after being injured. Malcolm Rodriguez, a 6th-round pick. These guys were contributing in making plays. And when you have the ability to draft in the draft, not just in round 1, but multiple rounds, and these guys are contributing like Jerry Jacobs, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, all these players are going to help you win football games. And you're going to be quicker in a rebuild because these guys are learning quick. That is the whole point of building a football team, is through the draft. And Brad Holmes has done a phenomenal job drafting these players, and the coaches has done a phenomenal job getting them up to standard. Sometimes it takes rookies a little bit of time to adjust from, obviously, college into the NFL, and players whom we got getting coached up fast, and they're able to contribute early and be an impact. Now, they may not be an impact like week 1 last year or the year before from those rookies, but they got better and better and better and better, and now the Detroit Lions are on a great trajectory. And that is why we're ahead of the rebuild. And it gave an opportunity for Brad Holmes to say, you know what, man, we finished strong last year. Let's go ahead and now get selected free agents like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley. These guys that can come in now and take that solid, really good young foundation and add some more talent to make that peripheral run. And that's why a lot of analysts from ESPN, SportsCenter, PFF, think the Detroit Lions have a real opportunity to win the NFC North, host a playoff game, and win a playoff game is because the philosophy of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, Sheila Ford, Spielman are really coming together. And it's working really well. And when you have a well-oiled machine from the top down, leaders, coaches, players, you can see they're all on the same page. We have an identity, and you can make that run. And if you look at last year, I do believe the Lions roster is better this year than it was last year. It is. It's an upgrade with the rookies and the veterans that they picked up this offseason. And we competed with the Philadelphia Eagles. We could have won that game. A few mistakes here and there, we lost it. They went to the Super Bowl. We could have beat the Minnesota game that we lost at the last second. We beat the Giants, who are a playoff football team. This team can compete with the big boys in the NFC. They absolutely can. Will they win a playoff game? I don't know, but they're ready to I think they're ready to make a run. And we are ahead of schedule. I feel like we're kind of like, even though this is year 3 right now of the quote-unquote rebuild now, it feels like it's more year 4. Crawl, walk, run. Now we're freaking sprinting at this point. This team has the core, it has the leadership, and it has the tenacity, and it can compete with any team. And I think what makes it even more important and why they can make that playoff run, something that we've all wanted, and we've seen it last year, is their ability to run the football. When you can run the football, especially when it gets colder out, and you can go in away games and you can win those games. You can. Lions have always been a finesse team before Dan Campbell. We're always finesse. We always have, we can pass every freaking down, but we could never just grind it out, run the football down your throat on a consistent basis. And now we have a two-headed monster in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, who the Lions are going to run the football, and they're going to run it down teams' throats. And when we're ahead, you run the football. Wear defense down. When it's cold, you run the football. Wear the defense down. And we do have a great passing offense. We can pass on anybody. But with the ability to kind of kill clock and just beat a team down when they know you're going to run it, but they can't do anything to stop it. That is a team ready to compete. That is a team ready to make a run. It's 100% facts. So we're ahead of schedule, and that's a good thing for us fans. It's a good thing for the city of Detroit. It's a good thing for the players and the aura around the Lions, because we need to change the way the world looks at us, and they're doing that. Hell, we got the first game of the NFL season versus Kansas City. People are believing. You can see it all around. Only people who don't really know about the Lions are still doing it's the Lions that suck. But at the end of the day, anybody that pays attention knows the Lions are a good team right now. The Lions are a team ready to fight, scratch, and claw their way to potentially winning the NFC North. And it's facts. And when you look at the other teams, the Lions got really good depth, really good young players. I mean, we're talking right now, think about this. We're complaining about backup offensive line spot, or backup here, a backup selected backup there. That means you got a good roster. Okay, when you're not even worried about really the starters and you're worried just about selective backups for a 53-man roster, that means you got a good roster. That's exactly what that means. It's nitpicking. A couple years ago, we were just looking at this whole roster and saying, this is booty cheeks. Not no more. From the quarterback all the way down to the kicker, the roster is solid. The depth is solid. The starters, you have playmakers, you have contributors, you have depth players. It's a solid roster. Because of the drafting and the ability to acquire talent that's cheap talent and fits the mold of the Detroit Lions. And underappreciated players who actually produces like a Khalif Raymond. That is the type of players, that is the type of spot that we are in right now for our beloved Detroit Lions. A really good spot. And yes, if you've been following me, you know when it comes to wins and losses, I generally am more realistic. Year 1 of this, I said 3-5. Year 2, that was last year, 7-8. This year, I got Lions winning 11 games. Because I'm looking at it and I'm saying, this is a good team. It's a legit good team. It has talent all around. All the way around. It's got good coaching. And it's got a good offense. So this team is a good football team. And it's really nice to see the development that is taking place from everyone part of this organization, top down. It's great to see the development. It's great to see this team on the right path. It's also very great to see if you can hit that like button. The more likes we get, the more chance that this video gets pushed out there. With the regular season nearly here and the preseason here, folks, we're dropping content all the time. Get ready for it. With that said, adios.